This is The Filter on iHeart Podcasts Canada.
We actually drank margaritas with Beyoncé one time backstage.
A little bit more of a backstory on that. Hey, it's Ruby, and I'm here today with Matt and Brad, Cage the Elephant, guys. So excited to talk to you.
How you doing?
Hey.
I don't mean to alarm you, and I am also not a doctor,
Okay.
but your leg appears broken.
No.
So what happened? It's just the foot. Okay, well that's good news already.
There we go. It was the first show of the second run of the tour in Atlanta, and the stage was like this polished concrete, so it was pretty slick.
It doesn't seem like a good idea.
Well, it was pretty slick, and so I asked one of the crew members if they'd grab me a pair of sneakers, and they ran backstage and grabbed some like Vans or whatever and brought them out, and I put them on, and then the stark difference between super slick and then all this traction, I took off running across the stage, jumped up, and it just stuck, and my foot rolled, and I broke my 5th metatarsal, and then also my big toe and a hairline fracture up here.
Just the description of that made my foot hurt. So how long do you have to rock this for?
3 months. We're about a month in, so.
Well, good news is it looks super cool.
It does look cool. And I get that sweet scooter. I get to
Yeah,
roll
you do.
around
You did roll in here in the scooter, and I liked it. I thought it was a power move at first. I didn't notice the
Yeah,
boot, so I was like,
exactly.
all right, this is cool. I'm into it. This is your first new album in 5 years, Neon Pill. It's so good. And you've been so open and honest about everything that has happened in the last 5 years. So how has the reception from the fans been with all of this new music and your new tour?
Well, first off, the support has been tremendous. It's been humbling and a blessing and an honor. And it's also been super exciting to bring a new effort forth and then have the audience respond so warmly, which isn't always a guarantee. So
Yeah, and this is also to our first headline tour since 2019. So it's been good to knock the rust off.
yeah, for sure.
Like, do you guys get nervous for any of this anymore? Like releasing an album, going out on tour?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, for sure.
Going into COVID, I feel like I'd kind of reached a place where it wasn't so much anymore. Post-COVID, that was almost like starting again. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had to figure out a way to sort of deal with that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, wait, we're actually pretty good at this thing.
I'm reminded.
Also, the night before we released our record, me and Matt were talking on the phone. We were like, oh, God, I hope people like it.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go again.
That's actually really sweet.
I heard he went through a lot, but the record's pure garbage.
Oh, God.
Too bad it was for nothing.
Oh, God, the sympathy like.
Yeah.
And your
it's
first,
okay. It's good.
It's decent.
your first major tour was actually in Canada. The first major tour that you guys were a part of.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Yes.
And they actually thought we were a Canadian band.
Is that why they brought
That's
you
why
on
they
tour with
brought
them?
us. Because we weren't on a label yet. We just
No,
had a
we were-
publishing. We had a publishing deal.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
they.
right.
And the publishing was based in Canada, so they were like, "Let's take a Canadian band out. What about this Cage the Elephant?" So,
You guys were like, take us, eh?
yeah, for sure.
Well, actually, the first night, like, I don't know, we were a little rowdier back then. And
You talking about during the show?
after the show, and like a few days later, Josh was like, so yeah, where in Canada are you all from? We were like, oh, we're from Kentucky. And he was like, oh, that explains it.
That makes so much sense.
You're like, it's too late. The contracts are signed. So forget it.
You'll never get rid of us.
Do you have any favorite stops in Canada?
Toronto.
Toronto's definitely up there.
Montreal.
Vancouver.
Edmonton was really good, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the crowds here are so next level. All the shows are great.
Yeah.
Always.
Any favorite Canadian acts?
Neil Young.
Neil Young for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the same page here.
Yeah.
We are.
Going at it.
Nickelback.
All right. Okay. And you've talked about how this album...
No, I'm joking. Actually, I've got a lot of respect for them.
Matt
Great
watched
writers.
the documentary. He couldn't stop talking about it for
Yeah.
2 days.
I mean, they had a lot of hits, dude.
Yeah.
So,
Anyone who says that they like hate Nickelback, I'm sorry, but if we started
Dude,
singing
not
one of their
cool.
songs, you would sing it too.
100%. I mean, I think at one point they had like 5 number ones globally at the same time or something. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but you talked about how this album is sort of less influenced than the others. It's more true to yourselves. So while maintaining that truth to yourselves, do you have any future sort of collaborations that would be the dream?
So many.
The Strokes would be sick.
Oh yeah. Joe
would be good. Claro.
You got to
Honestly,
put it all
I
out there now
haven't
because you don't know. They might see it. And then they're
Yeah.
like, what?
Paul
These guys want to
McCartney.
work with us?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Beyonce.
Beyonce's like, I had no idea. I'm on my way.
Billie Eilish would actually be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
actually drank margaritas with Beyonce one time backstage at Coachella.
okay, I'm going to need a little bit more of a backstory on that. How, what?
Our
think her
dressing rooms were right beside each other, and
And
they were
like,
hanging
just
out.
making up margaritas, and like they invited us to have a margarita, so we're like, yes.
Yeah, and Jay-Z was like smoking a big cigar, and
Looking really cool.
yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
Hi, Mr. Jay-Z.
Mr. Z, big fan of your work.
Yeah.
And you guys are brothers. You know that. I actually used to work with my brother as well, and people were always like, for some reason, baffled about siblings working together. They were like, I don't know how you work with your sibling. And I thought, like, do you hate your siblings? I don't
Yeah, for real.
understand that.
What kind of family did you grow up in?
Yeah, right? Like, I wanted to be like, so how does that make you feel? Like, what's the dynamic?
Yeah.
So when you guys do have sort of squabbles in the band, do you settle it now in a mature way, or does it still result in, like, a headlock?
Fist fight. No, I'm joking.
Straight up fist fight?
No,
We
it's
do
definitely
the leg wrestle.
yeah. Yeah, not
That's how
anymore.
he actually
That's how I
broke
broke
his
my
foot.
foot.
I knew the truth would come
Hey,
out in
some
this
big
interview. You
news
heard it
in
here first.
sibling, partnerships. Oasis is going back on tour, which
I
is
know.
freaking insane.
Well, I know.
That would be a
That
sick
would
collab.
be a good collaboration.
Yeah.
That was like our favorite band growing up.
Yeah, you guys could do like a brothers world tour. I like
Well,
this.
Dude,
Oh.
I definitely support Oasis
This
for sure.
is just a good plan.
Throwing it out there.
But of course, some of the subject matter on the album is emotional. It's intense, and you're talking about it in interviews, and you're performing it every night on stage. So what do you do when it's time to got to turn your brain off? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
I definitely Netflix a lot, almost to the point where I've seen everything on there. But
I recently watched Bike Riders, the movie.
oh, yeah, it's a good.
It actually is a good movie,
good.
and I thought
Really
about
good.
Pat. Felt really sad because when they broke the guy's leg with the shovel.
Oh God.
I like that. I was like, what light watching are you doing? And you're like, they broke his leg, and are there any movies from when you guys were kids that you ever throw on still?
Not from when we were kids, but the Furiosa.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I've
good.
watched that 5 times for some reason since we've been on tour.
I got into a mode of showing my daughter older movies from when I was a kid.
Okay.
And then I realized that they're way inappropriate for kids.
How old's your daughter?
She's about to turn 11.
Okay, so
But
what
it's
kind
so
of
many
movies
moments
are you
I'm like,
showing
"Nope,
her?"
Turn it off. I'm like, how is this PG? This is bullcrap.
Yeah. That's
I
hilarious.
actually watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids the other day, and I read that one of the kids was originally supposed to die.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that would have been a completely different
Yeah,
movie.
why do they, they really know how to get a parent to cry in a movie.
Yeah.
I cry every kid's movie. We're at the movie theater, and I'm just meh, trying to hold it back, and my daughter's like, Dad, you're crying again.
I remember watching things with my dad, like Mighty Ducks, and he was like, they're working like a team, just fully sobbing while they're doing the Flying V.
They're
And thinking
working
Dad,
like a
but when I
team."
became a parent, same thing.
Yeah. You
It's
do
like-
you do the hiccup breathing you try to just hold it together.
Absolutely. And after everything that you guys, have been through together and separately, how does it feel to be back, to be doing this again, to be in front of audiences, to be promoting this new album?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it feels it's such a blessing. It's crazy.
It is. Total blessing.
Definitely blessed, and also just encouraged that we can continue to do this. I mean, it's pretty amazing. 18 years in and still going. So.
And I was listening to Out Loud. It's so good and it's so vulnerable. And I noticed that it is at the halfway point of the album. So was that intentional? Was the placement intentional, or is that just sort of how it felt?
I mean, we definitely always put some thought into the track listing, but it's more of like a feel rather than cognitive. But yeah.
Right. Okay. And I was watching the video, and one of the comments, I know you probably don't always get into the comments, but they were all so positive and so uplifting and so good. And one of the comments said, it was from a guy named Damien. And he said his first album that he ever picked out for himself was Thank You, Happy Birthday. And he said he was 10 or 11, and it sort of helped to form his whole, taste in music. So how does that feel, that somebody's first album that they picked out was yours? That's
wild when you've been doing it for so long that literally people are like, I started listening to you when I was 10 years old and now I'm 21. And I'm like, what? It's crazy. So yeah, it's cool.
And what were the first albums that you guys picked out for yourselves?
The first record I ever got was Joe Cocker's Greatest Hits. That was my first album ever.
Mine actually was a Jimi Hendrix tape my friend gave me.
Oh, so your guys were way cooler than mine. Britney Spears.
Britney Spears is sick, though. Come on.
It was still good, though.
My dad used to be like, he would tell us like bedtime stories, but they'd be rock and roll bedtime stories. Like, and then Jimi Hendrix put acid on his head.
Went into a coma.
Like, what? Go to sleep.
This is why you picked out those movies for your daughter, because this is the influence that you had. And you guys have been doing this for so long. What advice would you give to, the guys that are forming a band with their friends right now or their brothers right now, and maybe they're teenagers and they're trying to make a go of it? What advice would you give to them?
Yeah.
Be obsessed with it.
Play as much as you can. And if it's supposed to happen, it will. And if it's not, it won't. That's just how it is. But do it as much as you can.
That sounded so, and that's just how it is.
I feel like we have to end there.
I'm just saying, it's like, if you're meant to do this, there's nothing that's going to stop you. Just continue to do it, and you'll become better and better and better. And if it doesn't happen as far as it being your job, then you'll just be really great at something you love.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you talking to us. Neon Pill, if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure you do. It's awesome, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
Thanks for listening to The Filter, an iHeart Podcasts Canada production. Subscribe to The Filter wherever you get your podcasts.